Hey guys, it's Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, and today's video is called, Can I Port My Business Phone Numbers to VOIP? So, believe it or not, this is one of the biggest questions that I get asked probably on a daily basis when I talk with folks that reach out from our YouTube channel or our website in my normal discovery call to learn more about their business, learn more about what it is that they require in a phone system, and then proceed to make recommendations on one or more phone systems or solutions that we together will go and work on to get quotes with special pricing for. Biggest question I usually always get asked is, Prince, I've got one or more numbers, fax, 1-800 area code number, whatever it may be. Will I be able to port those over to said carrier? So I want to talk about this just to answer this question once and for all. In short, yes, you can absolutely port your phone numbers over because it's the law. Now, if you guys remember way back in the day, you get a number with like an old cell phone carrier and then you're stuck with them forever. Those days are over. Now, there are some scenarios with like analog lines and things like that you can't port outside of zip codes, but that's why God invented voice over IP, because voice over IP has no restrictions. As long as you can get service through a voice over IP carrier, you can port your number into them, assuming you own the number. So I'm going to go into some pointers here of some things that I've got here on my list just to talk about, yes, you can port your numbers over to your new voice over IP carrier, but I'm going to talk about just some things that you need to be aware of during this process or in general in regards to number porting to the new carrier of choice. So first of all, as I already stated, again, it's the law, period. As long as you own the number, meaning the bill, the account that's got an account number or whatever from whoever the carrier is, it's yours, or you own the business that actually owns it, you can port it over. If it's a number that's in a phone bill of somebody else's, that doesn't mean you can't port it over. You just may have to get permission from them to do it. There is this thing called number fraud in the world of phone service. That is a very real thing. And so it's not that the carriers don't want you to port your number over. It's just they're very funny about verifying, and they will request specific information to make sure that you really are who you say you are and that you really do own the number or numbers in question that you're trying to port over. So don't take it personal. It's not that they don't want you to port your numbers over. It's just they don't want to have to deal with a lawsuit or the legal backlash or the embarrassment of porting over numbers that aren't actually the person's who's trying to port them over, because that's called number fraud, and that can be very detrimental to somebody else's business to wake up one morning and find out their numbers have been ported out into another system without their authorization. Let's see here. One other thing, I already mentioned point number 2, you need to own the number. Typically, most carriers will ask you for a copy of a bill. Not all of them will ask for this, but most of them will ask for the last 4 digits of your Social Security number, as well as the federal EIN for your business. That way, they can verify through their databases that you really are who you say you are and you own that number. Point number 3, your account needs to be in good standing. I don't think I really need to elaborate on this one, but we're going to elaborate on this one because you guys would be surprised. I've seen some interesting stuff in relation to this one. In short, you need to not owe your carrier a ton of money or be in delinquent status or be in collections or something like that. Not all carriers, but most of them will hold your number hostage in an attempt to get you to pay your bill. So they know that if you need to take that number somewhere else and they've disconnected your service and you need to get that number, what are you going to probably do? Pay your bill if you have the financial means to do so. Now, you'd be surprised. You're probably wondering, well, how much is delinquent if you're watching this and you owe them money? If you owe 1 or 2 months or 3 months, you can probably port without paying it. But if you owe more than that and you're probably canceled or in delinquent status, you're probably not going to be able to port your number out. But you'd be surprised, you guys. I've seen some miracles. I worked with a pizza joint once that owed Comcast $14,000. How you even get up to a $14,000 bill with Comcast, I don't know. The even more interesting thing was, number 2, they still had internet and phone service. I don't know. Number 3, we were able to port their number out into their new voice over IP carrier without any problems. I still don't know, but hey, I'm not going to knock it, and the client didn't seem to care either. I would say that what happened with this client was nothing short of a miracle. Just pay your past due balance with these guys before you try to port your number out and save yourself some headache. Okay. Number 4, this should be pretty obvious. Never, ever, ever, and I've mentioned this in many other videos talking about switching phone providers or or number porting. Never, ever, ever make changes to or attempt to cancel service with your existing carrier until after you have ported your phone number or numbers into the new voice over IP service provider. Furthermore, most providers at the time of this video, and as long as I've been in this industry, will send you some sort of email confirmation that says, Mr. or Mrs. such and such, stipulant to account number such and such, which is your new carrier. This is to confirm that your number or numbers have successfully ported into our system. And most of these messages will say something to the effect of, you may now cancel service with your previous provider. I would never, ever, ever make any changes, and especially not cancel service with your previous provider until you get some sort of recorded or email or in writing message from your new carrier that says this. 9 times out of 10, if you cancel service with your old carrier, that number is gone. You are not going to get that number back, and there was no amount of money that you're going to be able to pay the carrier that you left to get that number back. It's gone. So don't risk it. Let's see here. Point number 5. Just a fun fact. Number ports typically take about 7 to 10 business days. Now, typically most of the carriers will tell you about 2 weeks, 7 to 10 business days. I'm going to tell you guys from working with literally hundreds of companies that have ported from out of many different things into many other carriers that we've worked with. I've seen ports happen within about 3 to 10 days. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen some nightmare ports where they take a month or 2 months or 3 months, but those are super rare, and that's usually if the client is submitting incorrect information to the new carrier and they can't port a number without correct information, because that would be illegal, because information has to be accurate from you to the people that you're trying to port to so that they know that you are who you are and that all account information is accurate. But under normal circumstances, I've seen ports take as little as 24 to 48 hours. On average, I would say they take about 3 to 10 business days. No more than 2 weeks, realistically, assuming there isn't a bunch of holidays in a 2-week period. Now, one of the big questions that I get asked a lot is, well, Prince, 2 weeks, that's a long time. I need to use my number. Don't worry. There's 2 ways that you can get around this. First of all, your number is not unusable when you're waiting for a port to process. What is happening during that 1 to 2 week time frame is not your number sitting in limbo or not being usable. Your number is still usable just like any other day. What is happening is your old carrier is talking with your new carrier, making sure that you are who you say you are and that all of the information that you've provided to submit the port is correct and intact. That's all that's going on there. So that's basically what that is. Once the port actually happens, that's something that happens within 1 day. So usually at most, I've seen people's number not work for no more than an hour or something like that. Now you're probably wondering on the flip side, if you've got to wait 1 to 2 weeks for your number to port, what if you want to use your existing phone system, the new one that you've switched to? Simple. What most clients that I work with do is, remember, phone service providers will give you pre-generated numbers with your new phone service. Doesn't mean you have to keep them or use them forever, but you have a pre-generated main number. All you have to do is contact your new carrier, ask them what your new main number is in their system, get that number with area code, contact your old provider who is handling the porting process with your new provider, and say, hey, can you guys forward all of my calls from my main number that's, in holding for porting to this number, the pre-generated new number that you've got with your carrier. And now while you're waiting for your number to port, all of your phone calls are coming into your new phone system that you've got with the new carrier. Once your port happens, it's instantaneous, and then everything is done. Your old number or numbers are now in your new phone system, and the calls should automatically route, and everything's good to go. You'll get your notification from the provider like I mentioned, and then you can go back to your old carrier and say, hey, we appreciate the service and the relationship, but our numbers have finally been ported over. We'd like to cancel service. And then you're good to go. Let's see here. Actually, here's an interesting one, and this is the final point. Point number 6. Porting does not cost anything. You would be surprised how many people ask me. The first question obviously is, Prince, can I port my phone numbers into the new carrier? Yes. And then they say, how much does that cost? It's free. You don't have to pay anything to port your numbers over. You know, that to me would be almost like extortion. Now, there are some carriers, very few like Google, that charge you to port a Google number out, like out of Google Voice. But I mean, it's not much. It's like $5. But no carrier that you're switching to, like your new carrier, charges a fee to port your numbers in. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, this carrier charges a fee, I'm sorry, walk away. So no mainstream, legitimate, reputable carrier that isn't starving to keep their lights on or keep their staff paid charges anyone anything to port your phone numbers in. They're already charging you for new service. You're a new customer. So to me, it's just like, you know, it's just like putting salt in a wound or just making the process even more complicated than it should be to charge you to port your numbers in. So under normal circumstances, with carriers that I would feel comfortable recommending to you, there is no charge to port your phone numbers into the average voice over IP carrier. It's a free courtesy. Let's see here. One other thing I wanted to throw out there is this isn't something that you have to do on your own. All of the carriers have internal porting departments that will work directly with you. You don't even have to call your old carrier to port your numbers over. The way it quite literally works is when you get new service, they will usually ask you, sir, ma'am, do you have one or more numbers that you need to port in? If you say yes, they're going to ask you for the information that they need to get that port underway. You don't have to contact your old carrier to say, hey, I've got numbers I need to port. Here's all this paperwork. Your new carrier does that. So all you've got to do is just give the porting department or the porting specialists at your new carrier the information that they require, and then that's it. They handle that from there. They will let you know if there's more supporting information that they require to get your port underway or get it satisfied, and that's really it. So it's really a hands-off process for you. You just need to give them information over the phone or via email for them to do what they need to do. So anyways, if you are watching this video and you have not decided what voice over IP service provider or phone system or service you'd like to adopt, give me a call. I represent all voice over IP carriers in the United States. I can get better pricing than you can if you shop direct. So call me first so I can find out more about your business, what it is that you need and require in a phone system, and then I'm more than happy to make the recommendations for you. And we go look at quotes, pricing, and even a demo together. My service is free. If you found this video helpful, please like this video, subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, your go-to guy for the best deals on business phone and internet service in the United States. I'll talk to you guys again in the next video.